Gary the Numbers Guy
The original G.
has actually flown out here and answered the call. Thank you for doing that. The first thing I want to tell you is thank you for being the first one to take this challenge, because a lot of people have a problem with me, and I'm not saying you do, but like a lot of people have a problem with me, and they always want these debates, and I'm like, okay, fine. Here's a place that we can come and have a formalized debate. Let's do it. You're the first person to answer the call, so.
Well, I'm gonna say this, man. I'm being a coward. There's nowhere to live life.
Can you give my audience a little bit of your background first? Okay. We got to introduce you.
So first of all, a lot of you guys I'm assuming Red Pill might know what astrology is, and you guys understand that, chicks do this stuff and they say Libra, Mercury, and it sounds like a bunch of gibberish. And it sounds like a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. But see, if you have a car and you put a woman in the car and she can't drive a stick and this car doesn't move, you don't blame the car, do you? You blame the practitioner. So I'm basically here to tell you guys, all that astrology nonsense you heard in the past, I'm here to set the record straight. Because what you're looking at is the first person in their profession who's ever been invited to the White House under the Trump administration. And we'll go more into my history a little bit later. Are you the
official astrologer for the Trump administration? Would you say you're the official?
This is what I'm going to say.
Astrologer?
I'm going to say December 2020, when all the walls were closing in. Mm-hmm. I was the one they called to invite to the White House.
Nancy Reagan had her own.
That was an astrologer. That was an astrologer. His name was Mr. Quigley. And Mr. Quigley, no, I'm not kidding. That was his name. And Mr. Quigley would go around setting the schedule through Nancy Reagan for Ronald Reagan. But the problem was Reagan's cabinet thought she was cuckoo. So, you had a little problem here where the wife is pulling you on the one end and your people are pulling you on the other. So I understand that. But when it comes to numerology, which, by the way, supersedes astrology, I'm the guy.
Just so we're clear, because this is one of the things, it's the no true Scotsman thing.
Exactly.
It's like these other people, these
Mm-hmm.
other astrologers are fake. These other numerologists are fake, but you're not. That's the argument.
I'm going to make this thing. It's all about what can you show? Can you actually, what have you done in this field?
I think we agree on that.
What have you done in this field? Doesn't matter what you do in life. Are you the best of the best at what you do? And when it comes down to it, the fact is everyone else is broke. I actually got mine.
For sure. But I think what's maybe more important is what you can show empirically and what objective truths that you can prove and what things you can actually predict.
And that's what we're going to do today.
We can, and we can go back and forth. But some of those things, like I'll get just skip ahead here. We'll talk about the 2016 championship with the Cavs, right? And I followed that whole thing very clearly.
When Kyrie Irving, born in 1992, Year of the Monkey, hit the game-winning shot in 2016, right?
So again, and I'll let you go through that whole thing, but let's try something different. Mm-hmm. The year before, in 2015, Kyrie Irving broke his kneecap open, and Kelly Olynyk pulled Kevin Love's arm out of socket.
Correct.
And the Cavs still gave the Warriors a fucking beat. They almost won that series.
Yeah, Andre Iguodala beat them.
Yeah, and the next year, once that happened, I predicted the Cavs to win the championship, and then Draymond Green gets suspended, and then you go on a news program and you start predicting that the Cavs are going to win. I think
I made that prediction in 2014 that the Cavs would win the NBA Finals. In 2016, that's why they had me on the news. But my Twitter account got suspended. That's what happens when you say too many truths. Your Twitter account, just like you got your Twitter account suspended. So I said that in 2014, and then they suspended my Twitter account. So it wasn't 2016. I said 2014.
Right, but I just don't know necessarily. I think a lot of people would have thought the Cavs would have won that championship. I don't think that necessarily proves
against a 73-9 team, the best record in NBA history.
That went down 3-1. That were already down 3-1 to the Oklahoma City Thunder beforehand.
Correct.
And almost got their ass beat the time before in the finals when Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured. Now a lot of people watching this, they're like, I don't keep up with basketball. Yeah. The point is that was an educated guess. LeBron James was the best player in the world at the time. My point is a lot of the predictions, like you also did predict that Donald Trump was going to win the election in 2020, and that wasn't correct. So the thing is, we're sitting there.
The election was stolen, my friend.
Okay, that's fine. But again, numerology should account for that.
No.
Numerology should account for that.
Actually, I said the election would be stolen. And again, that Twitter account got suspended. Right. So again, we can go back and forth, but I actually said certain things. Let me go back to the Cavs 216. When the team
just for my clarification, what exactly did you predict?
I predicted the Cavs would come back from 3-1 down and win the NBA Finals. I went on the news and said it. You actually saw it. Everyone can go on YouTube, Cavs, Gary the Numbers Guy, and you'll see it yourself. The point is,
I don't think they were down 3-1 at the time. I think it was 3-2 at the time when you made the prediction.
They were still down.
And then Draymond had been suspended.
The whole point is this: in NBA history, 0-32 were teams that actually were down 3-1. None of them won. I called the first one.
In the finals.
Yes.
In the finals.
I was the first one who called it.
Not in NBA playoffs, obviously.
The biggest stage is the finals.
Just the previous series, the Golden State Warriors were down 3-1 down to Oklahoma City, which is why I thought that they had some serious problems. And that's why I didn't think they were going to win that championship.
Well, I'll tell you what, my little betting slips that year, they say it all, because I had all my money in the Cavs. Everyone in my group had their money in the Cavs. And again, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm human.
Right.
What I'm basically trying to say is I'm not going to be the one who's going to say everything I say is going to be 100% true.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you I'm better than everyone else at it. That's it.
But do you see how that's problematic, though? Because one of the issues is if I'm supposed to, where have you won the lottery? And if I'm supposed to follow you and sometimes you're wrong, then this is not a predictable, testable model that you're putting out with numerology.
So you want me to win the lotto? Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, if you're a numerologist, I do think that would be kind
okay.
of...
So let me tell you, people have came to me and asked me that stuff before. So here's the thing. If the odds of winning the lotto are 100 million to 1 for you,
sure,
it'll be 100 to 1,000 to me. I'm still not going to hit that 100 1,000, but my odds will be a lot better. Again, it goes back to the point where I'm saying I can do it better than anyone else because of my ability to understand numerology and astrology. That's it. I'm not going to win the lotto. For all we know, the lotto is fixed by the CIA as a money laundering operation. So that's probably not the best example.
Or another example would be then just run a hedge fund and then just go ahead and start running.
Yeah, I consult many hedge fund managers.
Right, but you wouldn't even you'd be coming in here on a fucking spaceship if that was the case. Like that would be so much money.
I consult with billionaires.
I understand. I get that, man. But then your picks would be so much better, and you'd be able to document it, and no one would ever. This is what I'm saying, Gary. Let's try this instead.
Okay.
Let me do this a different way.
Okay.
So the scientific scrutiny against what you're saying about numerology and astrology, just get rid of it. It's very easy. All you have to do is run a fund that does better than the medallion fund. That's all you have to do is beat their returns and then show it. But you need to start from a certain point and go through another point. Then you need to accurately predict the invasion of Ukraine, and you need to accurately predict the invasion of Ukraine.
I actually did that.
Again,
can you please put that up on Twitter, how I said the Ukraine war would start in 2022, in 2021? I actually said that on Twitter.
Did you say in March that it was going to start?
I said I got the year. Why? Well, see, this is what I'm trying to say. I got the year.
We all knew that they were putting troops up there. That was, again, that's not a test.
Not everyone knew that. Even the Ukrainian president said they're not invading.
No, he may have said that they're not invading, but we did see that they were putting troops on the border.
Well, maybe you and I saw it, but most people didn't. So the fact of the matter is my prediction is valid.
You don't need numerology to predict.
I'm not saying you needed numerology for that one, but I'm saying the numerology led me to the same conclusion as common sense. So here's the point. If you have common sense and you see evidence pointing to a certain direction, no matter where you get it from, you're going to say, okay, this is the way it's going to be. So for instance, Ukraine.
So are you saying common sense would be more practical than
numerology?
It's actually the same thing when you actually start thinking about it.
So why don't we just call it common sense?
1 + 1 is always going to equal 2.
Right.
Same thing with numerology. Math is the only universal language there is. Let me start a little bit so people can understand where I'm coming from. Let me tell a little bit, people, about my past, and then we can go back to the questions. Okay? So 9/11, that was one of the biggest days in world history, and it was the day that changed my life. I woke up, I saw the TV, I think I'm watching the movie Die Hard. Okay? All of a sudden, I'm thinking, wait a second. Flight 11 hit the World Trade Center that looks like an 11 side by side. They both have 110 stories. Let's see here. New York's the 11th state in the union. New York City, 11 letters. All this stuff. And I'm like, wait a second. What's going on here? Is this a coincidence? Because that's what someone with common sense would start thinking. Is this a coincidence? But see, I know history. And I've always studied history. You said you were into history too. When did the Great War end? The Great War, World War I, ended on 11/11 at exactly 11 o'clock. They were still firing bullets at each other at 10:55. But at 11, they all stopped. At that point, I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I see smoke. Because that's what common sense is telling me. At some point, it stops being a coincidence. When I see that Al-Qaeda attacked America on 9/11, I'm like, okay, that's one thing. Then when you see that Al-Qaeda attacked Mumbai, India on July 11th.
I think it was July 26th when they attacked Mumbai.
No, it was 11th. You can actually look it up because I already used this example many times. And then they attacked Spain on the 11th too. Those are the 3 biggest attacks in Al-Qaeda's history. So I'm thinking, okay, so now it's getting to the point where do people out there actually know something that other people don't? Because why are they doing things on specific events? Let's talk about the pandemic. The World Health Organization called COVID-19 on February 11th. Why they picked the 11th? And guess what? They said it was an official pandemic on March 11th. So you tell me, when does this stop being a coincidence? Because they keep doing this over and over on big events.
Because the Civil War did not end on the 11th, and neither did World War II. Like, again, you're this is called.
I'm not cherry picking. I'm picking the biggest events in history.
Again, World War I is not a bigger event than World War II.
I just said World War I ended on 11/11. Exactly.
World War I did. World War II was a bigger event. World War I.
That's in your opinion. That's in your opinion.
World War I killed 100 million people. It was a bigger event.
That is your opinion.
What was the
World War I led to World War II. You can't have one without the other.
Find this out for me. When did we go to war with Vietnam?
70s.
Yeah,
1965. No, it was
do we know the date?
The French were always there. Again, like, you are cherry picking. This is called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy.
Okay.
Where you cherry pick different ideas, but you can't. What would happen? A coincidence would actually be if every war ended on 11, or if a predominance of wars ended on the 11.
No. I disagree, because see, what happens is when you look at, and I'll bring sports examples. When you look at an example, Steph Curry at the line, he hits 90% of his free throws. Another guy hits 60%. So you're basically, what you're doing is saying, oh, none of this is valid because you don't hit 100%. That is not how the game works. No. I'm trying to tell you, if you look at what I'm saying, most of the biggest events in history will line up with exactly what I'm saying.
But it's not even most. It's like not even partially most. It's just you've cherry picked.
Tell me a bigger event than 9/11 in our history. A bigger event. The pandemic?
The bombing of Pearl Harbor.
That was a bigger event than 9/11?
Yes, because
since me and you've been alive,
500
modern day history.
You just said that now. 500,000 American troops died in World War II. It was a bigger event than 9/11. 3,000 people died in 9/11. It's horrible. I went to war for our country because of 9/11. I understand what you're saying. But the biggest thing that had happened before that was
in our lifetimes, the biggest thing is 9/11.
So, yeah, I mean, I could say the biggest thing. Yeah, for sure, I could say that.
And I just break down the whole thing about how 9/11 happened on the left. What I'm basically trying to tell you is, it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what I believe. It doesn't matter what the people who are listening believe. It matters what the people in positions of power are doing. And if you see what the people in positions of power through the history, they're always planning events under certain dates. For instance, Wall Street crashed on October 29th, 1929. 2 and 9 is 11. So before people say I'm cherry picking, let me explain how numerology works. There's only
the 11th. That's there's only 2 and 9. That is cherry picking.
There's only 3 possible ways to become an 11 or to be part of the 11 energy. One is to be born on the 11th. Second is to be born on the 29th. 2 and 9 is 11. And the last way is to be like Kobe Bryant. Kobe's born 8/23/1978. 8/23/1978 adds up to 38. 38 is 11. Now, the reason 11 is not broken down is because it's a master number. 11, 22, and 33 are all master numbers. I'll show you an example.
Why would those be master? Why would they be more important than like any other number?
It's basically like AM and FM radio on completely different wavelengths.
How is that measured? How are the wavelengths measured? How is the energy in those numbers measured against other numbers?
Basically, people who are 11s, people who are 22s, people who are 33s have basically dominated society.